Have you ever looked at your life and thought nothing is wrong, but then why do I feel this way? You're functioning, you're doing everything you're supposed to do. From the outside, things look fine, and that's almost what makes it harder. Because when something is clearly wrong, you know how to fix it. But when everything looks fine and you still feel stuck, you start questioning yourself. Why am I not happy? Why can't I appreciate what I have? What's wrong with me? If you've been feeling that quiet restlessness, that heaviness you can't explain, I want to walk through this with you. Because this feeling is more common than you think. And it doesn't mean that you're ungrateful. It just means that something inside you is asking for more attention. There's a version of being stuck that doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't come with obvious problems. It looks routine. You wake up, you go through your day, you handle your responsibilities, you check things off, and technically everything is fine. But internally something feels off, You feel disconnected, uninspired, flat, restless in a quiet way. And because nothing is technically broken, you don't give yourself permission to fix it or question it. You tell yourself, other people have it worse. I should be grateful. This is just life. So you stay. Not because it feels right, but because it doesn't feel wrong enough to leave. I remember exactly what this felt like in my own life. There was a time where everything looked okay, everything was stable, I had structure, I had responsibilities, I had a routine I was following. Nothing was falling apart, no big crisis, no obvious problem, but yet I felt this low level dissatisfaction. I'd go through the day, do everything I was supposed to do, handle all my responsibilities, and then at night I'd sit there and think, is this it? Not in a dramatic way, just quietly. Like something inside me wasn't fully there. I remember one specific evening I came back home after work. Nothing bad had happened, but I felt so drained in a way that didn't make sense. So I sat down and instead of distracting myself, I just stayed with the feeling. And the thought that came up surprised me. I don't feel like I'm living my life, I'm just managing it. That hit me because nothing was wrong, but something was missing. And I had been ignoring it because I didn't think I was allowed to question a life that looked fine. Feeling stuck when nothing is wrong means one thing. You've outgrown something without realizing it. It could be with your routine, your environment, your identity, your way of thinking, your definition of success. But because it worked once, you keep trying to force yourself to make it work again. And when it doesn't feel right anymore, you think the problem is you. You think, why can't I just be happy with this? Why do I need more? Why can't I just settle? But growth doesn't always look like excitement. Sometimes it looks like discomfort, restlessness, a quiet knowing that something needs to shift, even if you can't fully explain it yet. One of the biggest reasons this feeling lingers is guilt. Because when nothing is really wrong, wanting change can feel a little selfish. You think other people would be grateful for what I have. I should just appreciate what I have. I shouldn't be feeling this way. So instead of listening to yourself, you silence yourself. And over time, that creates distance between you and your own truth. You start living based on what looks acceptable instead of what feels aligned. And that's exhausting because pretending something is enough doesn't make it enough. The shift for me didn't start with one big decision. It started with honesty. I stopped asking what's wrong with me and started asking what feels missing for me right now. That question changed everything. Because I wasn't broken, I was disconnected. I remember one simple moment where this became real for me. I remember I noticed I felt most like myself when I was speaking honestly and sharing my thoughts, and least like myself when I was just following routine without meaning. So I started making space to create and express, even in small ways, just like I'm doing now. It wasn't a huge life change, but it was honest. And that honesty gave me direction. Because sometimes clarity doesn't come from thinking harder, it comes from paying attention to where you feel most like yourself and following that even a little. If you feel stuck right now, even though nothing is obviously wrong, I want you to hear this. You're not ungrateful, you're aware. You're noticing what most people ignore. That quiet discomfort is not something to push away. It's pointing you to something that needs attention. Not everything in our life has to fall apart for you to create change. Sometimes the signal is subtle and you're allowed to listen to it. The next time you think nothing is wrong, but why do I feel this way? Pause and ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? That question might open more than what you expect. If this felt a little too familiar, you're exactly who this channel is for. I'm still figuring this out in real time. So if you want to keep figuring this out together, you can subscribe. I post every week. Until then, bye-bye.